Hello, YouTube. How are you? Hope you're having a great afternoon. As you can see, Booger is behind me. Booger. Oh, she's busy cleaning herself. So, how are you? Uh, I've been keeping an eye on Shantal today, the content that she's been doing. She did a live that was incredibly boring. And I mean, incredibly boring. I looked at it. I promised you guys that I was keeping an eye on her content. If there was anything of interest, that I would cover it. Unfortunately, there is nothing interesting going on. She did some mukbangs, posted the mukbangs. The live was essentially a boring, weird show and tell of her showing off her grocery haul, showing off different junk foods that she bought and some stuff for the house like pots and pans. Honestly, I don't know why she's doing that kind of shopping, if she's got a visa run or she has to travel soon, but Neo Tarot did say in her tarot reading that Shantal needs to stop her overspending, but it looks like Shantal is continuing to overspend at a time when she should be hanging on to every dime, dollar, nickel, and penny for her travels. But, that's Shantal. Anyway, so Shantal did a short video called Schooling Haters ASMR. And I wanted to cover that one because there are some things of interest. She talks about her mukbang videos. She talks about her, I call it alleged BED because I'm not a doctor. I am not here to diagnose Shantal, but in my personal opinion, I feel she doesn't have BED. I feel that she is a food addict. You can be a food addict without having BED. She's also got elements of being food aggressive. And the fact that she's on YouTube and there's no embarrassment to what she does, no shame, no sense of regret. That is also prompting me to say, I don't think she has BED, although she does claim to have it. More than likely claiming to have it to try to get sympathy from people and to put off the vibe of there's this thing going on with me and I can't control it. Even if she truly does have BED, there are lots of people who have had it and they got on the other side of it through a lot of hard work, dedication, therapy, counseling. So her putting off the vibe of there's this thing going on and I can't control it is just a bunch of hogwash. So I want to go over the video and I'm just going to tell you guys my thoughts before we even get into anything. What is there to say about Shantal and her issue with food, except that even as someone that I've dealt with BED, I'm tired of having this conversation with her and about her. Not because people don't need to know about BED, because food issues like that, they may be hard for some people to understand, to put it on the same level as any other addiction in life. Anything in life can be addictive. Anything in life, if you obsess over it, if it's all consuming, it can cause some kind of damage. It could cause physical damage. It could damage relationships with family or friends. It can cause a great deal of harm. You might lose a job. So it's not just food or party favors that can be an addiction. It could literally be anything. But speaking on Chantal's problem, that she feels is not a problem, I'm tired of talking about this simply because Shantal has absolutely, how can I say this correctly? She's not wanting to get better. She's not wanting to heal herself. She knows the things that are wrong with her, and she wants to monetize every single pain and every ounce of suffering. She wants sympathy for all of it, even though a great deal of it she causes to herself. She does a great deal of self-harm. And after doing the self-harm, she wants to cry to the audience and get the sympathy and get the super chats. And it's a system that is backwards and makes no sense to me. But I wanted to give my thoughts on her video. So here we are. Also, I want to go over some stuff that I found on Twitter and get you guys up to date on what's going on Twitter. So we'll just do that first. And Shantal, I'm not even going to bother monetizing this video. I want the ability to speak freely without using code words, without YouTube telling me what to do. I really don't understand YouTube's system of you have your channel, you do your content, YouTube allows you to do your content, but anybody who is a reactor or somebody just commenting, if we use a certain word or we're just talking about your content, we get basically spanked by YouTube. You know, they might cut out part of the monetization or cut it out entirely. I mean, I don't get that, but that's YouTube's backwards system. They allow you to do the content, but we talk about it, then that's a big deal. So let's go over the Twitter stuff, get that out of the way. Then we'll get into Chantal's video because today she's going to get schooled. She's absolutely going to get schooled. The teacher is going to school. She's here to try to teach us and school us. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no, no. No, Miss Rose Thorne is going to school you today, Miss Madam. Yes, she is. So let's get on it. And I've got Twitter all pulled up right now. So let's go here on Twitter. Let's pull that up. Okay. So for anybody who happens to be on Twitter X and you'd like to follow me on Twitter X, my handle is WowGirlSarah. And for those of you who want to keep up with all the notifications, because again, YouTube gets weird with that. Sometimes they send them out, sometimes they don't. Whenever I do a live or a video, I always post on Twitter first before it gets uploaded. So let's start here with DX. DX does great verbal recaps of the things that go on in Chantal's videos or Chantal's lives. So for anybody who just wants like the quick verbal recap, DX is really great for that. Okay, so DX says some of the things going on in the live today. When Shantal did her grocery haul, 0 sugar iced tea cases. So she didn't buy iced tea that was healthier for her. Full sugar teas that she specifies are for Salah. Yeah, sure. Admits she went through 5 cases of peach iced tea in a week or two. Oh my God. How ridiculous. Coffee and tea are some of the easiest things to make at home. Even like say peach iced tea. You can make a whole gallon of it for pennies on the dollar. But she went out and bought 5 cases. Why? But 5 cases of peach iced tea, like how much money is that? Packs of creamy and delicious cheese. Says when she's hungry at night, she basically eats a massive slice of cheese. Well, I don't think she stops at just one slice, do you? She probably eats the whole pack. And Chantal, did you forget? Did you forget that long ago when you were with BB, you had to go to the ER because you ate too much cheese? Did you forget that? That cheese literally sent you to the emergency room? Yeah, you might want to remember that part. Okay, so going on with the further recap from DX. This is talking about her blood sugar. Says the lowest she's seen is 10, but without medication, it's 24. That's insane. That's over 400. So without the medication, her blood sugar would go up to 24. That should give you guys an idea of how many carbs and how much sugar she's consuming. I and other people on YouTube, we've been saying for a while that she's not taking her medication for the right reasons. She's actually abusing her medication. The medication is supposed to be for helping her health and managing her health. But basically what the medication has become is just her managing her binges. So she can keep on with that. That's basically its purpose. Taking the medication so she can continue to binge and physically get away with it for a time, although from the sounds of it, the medication is working less and less. She's on the max dose of metformin. The max dose, I believe, for metformin is 2,000 milligrams. And Shantal has said that she's actually taking more than that. Like, she's thinking that by taking more medication, that the more food she eats, the more medication she takes, that extra medication will cancel out some of the damage she's doing. All that's doing, Chantal, is doing further harm to your body. So I want to ask the question, Dr. Armchair, Dr. Blue Couch, if you're so smart, if you know so much about your body, if you know what you're talking about, why do you have to take extra medication? Because I would think if you know everything, you know how to take care of your health. Why are you so sick? The grocery hauls are as follows. Starting off strong with 2 packs of biscotti cookies that she likes to have as a treat. Just one. At least one. Yeah, I know how that goes, Chantal. Things like cookies and chips, when it comes to people that have issues with food, those things are dangerous. Let me tell you why. Because they're small, because they come in a bag or a box, and you do start out with that thought of, I'll just have one. But let's just say you take the whole box or the whole bag with you and you're starting to watch TV. What are you going to do? You're going to do that mindless eating. You're going to sit there and reach into that bag or reach into that box of cookies, one right after the other while you're watching TV. You're not paying attention to what you're eating. Next thing you know, the whole bag is gone. Next thing you know, the whole box is empty. How can you stop at just one cookie or just one chip if you're someone and you are impulsive and you are obsessed with food and you believe in bulk and volume and quality? Not quality, I'm sorry, quantity. Like, can anybody picture Chantal just eating one? I can't either. I really can't. Because if she tries to stop at one, she feels that she's missing out somehow. Like the restriction is bad. Oh, I'm missing out. What are you missing out on? You're eating one cookie. And if you're stopping right there, that means you have more cookies later when you want them. But for Chantal, restriction makes her rebel. And so she's got to eat them all. I don't know if there's something mental or emotional going on there where she feels like she has to eat all the food before somebody else gets to it. There's no one else in the house. No one's going to touch her food, but she is so food aggressive and food obsessed that it's insane. Like, why she feels like she has to hog all the food all the time. Kristen says Chantal is now keeping a set of condiments in the living room where she mukbangs because she's so big and lazy. She cannot be bothered to walk the 20 feet to her kitchen to get them once her DoorDash crosses the threshold. As a reminder, here is where she sits in the relaxation of the house. So this is basically pictures of the house. The picture on the left is like the living room area. The picture on the right is the kitchen area. I remember back in the day, excuse me, I remember back in the day when Chantal was at the villa. I remember clearly her having condiments up in her bedroom for no random reason other than the fact that she wanted them there. She wouldn't keep the condiments in the fridge where they would stay good. She had ketchup and mayonnaise and mustard all up in her bedroom. She had mummified food. She had trash everywhere. She even had like a little mini fridge in her room. And when she did live streams from the villa, more often than not, she would sit in the kitchen in an office chair right in front of the fridge, almost as if she were guarding the food. Of all the places to sit in the house, she wanted to sit directly in front of the fridge, like a gatekeeper. Like, you shall not pass go. You shall not collect $200. Like she wanted to be next to the food. So if she felt hungry, she could just roll the chair back, open the door, pull something. I mean, the food obsession that Chantal has is crazy. She's got to have food around her at all times. She's got to be next to the food. When she went to Cuba, her two hangouts were her room late at night when she was raging. And if she wasn't there during the daytime, you could find her down at the big buffet area right next to the buffet. It's like she had to be next to the food. I don't know if she's got an insecurity with food, if there's a feeling of, I got to be next to it just to make sure it's there. I don't know. This is something that maybe therapy could help figure out. But she's just so obsessed with always having food on hand and always being near the food and getting the most. Okay, so this is from Disrespectful Still, saying, I did see that taking more than this could cause a stomach problem she's describing. So, okay, metformin, at first, 1,000 milligrams once a day taken with the evening meal. Your doctor may increase your dose if needed until your blood sugar is controlled. However, the dose is usually not more than 2,500 milligrams per day. Well, Chantal has said she's up to 3,000 milligrams. So how good is that for your kidneys, Chantal? Because not only is the medication in large amounts bad for your kidneys, but what about everything else that you're punching at your kidneys with? Like the blood sugar, like all that sugar, all those carbs, all that fat. You are giving your vital organs one heck of a beating. And you think you're untouchable, you think you're unbreakable. If you were untouchable and unbreakable, why are you so sick? Why are you having trouble breathing? Why are you having trouble walking? Apparently you are breakable, you are touchable, and you are hurting yourself. And that's entirely up to you. But if the thinking is, I can just take more medication and do more of the feeding request on Cameo, and that's the balance. I can balance out the increased orders, the increased feeding orders by taking more medication. There's only so much the medication can do. But if you keep upping the dose, upping the dose, upping the dose, I would think it's a dangerous thing, very dangerous. And there's going to come a point where that medication cannot help you anymore. There's only so much you can do. What can a few pills do against thousands of calories a day and tons of sugar? Not much. You're not taking the medication to get your health back. You're taking the medication to find a way to keep on with the requests, to make the feeders happy. So you can do more on Cameo and do more privately. And that's not what it's for. Honestly, that's not what it's for. Okay, next. Florida Salt and Sass says, Chantal, you wanted your viewers to find setting up an apartment in your travels. You work as a creator because you can't get or maintain a job. Bringing up the whole grifting for Disney is old and it's nothing different than what you've done. True. Yeah, Chantal's at a place in her life where if something happened on YouTube, she no longer had a channel. If she could not work on YouTube, her channel was gone. What would there be left? Maybe she could do stuff on Cameo, but she could not use YouTube as a free portal anymore to get in front of the feeders, introduce herself, and point people in the direction of Cameo. She's been on YouTube for so long, in my opinion, that she would not be able to get a regular job. Physically, she's too sick. She's too mean. She's too nasty. I can't see her doing customer service work. Can you? She couldn't even sit at a desk properly. And her past jobs before YouTube, she was always bad at work. She would show up late, stay on lunch breaks too long. And the jobs that she took, she often got fired. So can you just imagine what would happen now? You know, like YouTube is all she's got. And she's not even making the most of it. She's just destroying her health and making her health worse. And the problems that are going on with Chantal, I mean, they're not cheap problems to fix. And they're not problems that can be fixed quickly. The things that she's doing to herself, the issues she's creating for herself, they're all going to be expensive fixes. Foop Olympics says Shantal really thinks that everything she eats has to be smothered in some kind of sauce or processed cheese. Otherwise, it's too plain. You know what? If you're eating food and you got to smother it in sauces, you know what that says to me? That food really doesn't taste that good. But going a little bit deeper, since we know what kind of content she does, and I've said this and I'll say it again, in my opinion, I think Chantal, when she does the feeder requests, I think the feeders, they want to see more eating and less drinking. You know, if they're paying her to eat the food, they don't want to see her drinking a whole lot of liquid. They want to see her belly filled up with whatever food they bought or they requested. So to compensate for not being able to drink anything, she covers everything in sauces. She will, always have a soup handy or some yogurt. This is to add lubrication so that she can swallow the bites so she doesn't choke. So, like, do you guys notice that it's all soft foods? There's a lot of sauces. There's soups. Uh, all of that is something that she can swallow quickly with not much liquid. And for those that are wondering, why does she eat so fast? This is my theory. I think that Chantal is defiant to her own body. It takes about between 10 to 15 minutes for that chemical signal between the stomach and the brain to happen. It's a signal called chemical called leptin. After 10 to 15 minutes, you start to feel full. I think the moment that Chantal sits down to eat, that she is essentially running against the clock to stuff as much down her throat as possible before that full feeling hits her. So again, with the soft foods, everything's coated in sauces. All she has to do is basically stuff it down her throat. And notice that her videos are usually about 10 minutes. Okay. So yeah, I see you, Chantal. I really do see you. Another tidbit, and I just want to throw this in real quick. Chantal is so deep into the feeder content and doing the feeder content, and she's been doing it for so long. In order to keep up with all the requests and be able to do them all, she has had to stretch her stomach out to the max as far as it will go. This is something that competitive eaters might do. And I don't know that whole process, but in order to do those requests, to eat that massive amount of food every day, she's got to keep her stomach stretched. And to keep it stretched, she has to keep her stomach constantly full. If she doesn't eat tremendous amounts of food every day, her stomach is going to shrink and she can't do as many requests. So there are different reasons why she's eating the copious amounts of food. She's eating it to fulfill their feeding request, and she keeps her stomach stretched, in my opinion, to keep doing as many as she can and make as much money as she can. So moving on here, let's see. D. Angry Scott says, I love this for you, foodie. Just take more metformin for all the extra carbs. Don't bother checking that decision with your doctor or anything. Cheerio, liver function. Kristen says, so the doctor told you to take 150% of the maximum dose set forth by the FDA. If you feel like it, let's look here. All right. This is from the Food and Drug Administration. The maximum recommended daily dose is 100 milligrams of sitagliptin and 2,000 milligrams of metformin hydrochloride. Do not split or divide Janumet tablets. So that's the maximum dose, 2,000 milligrams. And she's over there taking 2,500, 3,000. You can't take a little bit extra for your really bad days, Chantal. I don't know what made you think you could. But again, you're playing a very dangerous game with your health. You're playing a dangerous game with the medication. You're playing a dangerous game with the food. But we've all had this conversation before, haven't we? And she's not stupid. She knows she's being stupid. She just doesn't care. She really, really doesn't care. And so I can't care. You can talk to your blue in the face to this woman. It's not going to matter. If somebody is deep into their addiction, until they're ready to listen, until they have that wake up moment, that epiphany where they get sick and tired of being sick and tired, there's really not a whole lot to say. There's not much you can say. It's just wasted words coming out of your mouth. So I'm tired of talking about this, Foodie. I'm not quite sure why you keep bringing up BED. You know it's one of the bad words with YouTube that'll instantly get your video yellow dollar signed. I don't know if you're looking for sympathy, but if you're looking for sympathy, you're not going to get much from Girl World or the reactors or even your own audience. If 1 minute you're crying about your health issues and the next minute you're doing a very unhealthy mukbang, I mean, why should anybody give you sympathy if you're doing that? If you are actively doing self-harm stuff to yourself, and you know you are, why should anybody feel sorry for you? You're essentially, in essence, walking up to a hot stove with a burner full blast, putting your hand down on it, knowing it's hot, purposely burning yourself, and then you have the nerve to cry that you got burned. You're not a child. You knew what you were doing when you did it. So how can anybody feel sorry for someone who goes out of their way to hurt themselves just for the sake of attention? Okay, so this is from Kim Impossible. Subway chocolate chip cookies are 210 calories per cookie. This person had 5 in one setting. So let's do the math on that. So she had like the 2 cheesy melt things. It was so gross. And 5 chocolate chip cookies. So 210 times 5. That's over 1,000 calories just for the cookies. And then the cheesy melt things, probably another couple thousand. So 3,000 calories for one meal. And that meal, in my opinion, I watched that video. It was just a snack. I mean, I've seen this woman go to town on food. That was just a warm-up meal. That was just a warm-up meal, y'all, that she did. All right. And this big idiot, not Miss Anthropopoulos, not you, ma'am, says it must have been really high lately, not only because of what she's been gorging on, but her roommate, who's obviously doesn't give a crap about her, giving her the thumbs up on what is still too high of a reading. So the big idiot that I was talking about is Salah, because look what he puts in the chat for her live. He says 11.6 is not bad, hun. The 11.6 is her blood sugar reading, which should be about a 5 or a 6. So even at 11, it's still too high. It's still way too high, which should clue you guys into how much he knows about her health conditions. Either he knows and he doesn't care, and maybe he's hoping for some kind of medical event, or he's just completely in the dark. Either way, he's still an idiot. All right. Mo translates. Hi, Mo. Mo says, Cutie looks like she's been crying or bloated, probably bloated. Blood sugar is at 11.6. She said it was 24 at the doctor's office, and he says she can take 2,000 milligrams metformin or 3,000 if it gets too high. I called nonsense on that. I'm part Irish. I'm calling Shenanigans. We're calling Shenanigans. I'm calling it Shenanigans afoot. What doctor is going to tell someone like Shantal, who's very unhealthy, who's got a myriad of health problems, including kidney issues, will go ahead and take 1,000 milligrams more of this medication? You're going to say that to a patient? And they might have a medical emergency? No, I don't believe that. No doctor is going to risk their license and their livelihood telling a patient something that reckless. No one's going to do that. Not for her, not for anybody else. 2,000 milligrams is the max, Shantal. If you want to take 3,000 milligrams, that's on you, but you're trying to point your finger back at the doctor and say, well, they told me to. No, they didn't. When is the last time you've been to a doctor? When's the last time we've heard about her going to a doctor? So when did this doctor visit happen that she went back to the doctor and he told her to take an extra 1,000 milligrams? Because, I mean, I've been checking on her content. I haven't heard of a doctor visit. So when did this occur? She's now live doing a grocery haul with cookies and juice. Yeah, the live was boring. It was such a boring version of show and tell. I can't think of a single YouTuber that gets on YouTube and they go out and just get an ordinary sack of boring groceries and they bring it home. And as soon as they bring it home, they're thinking, content, got to make a video, got to do a live about it. No, you don't. Just put your groceries away. Nobody cares. All right, this is from Kristen. This is from the live today. So Salah's bringing Harry the hamster over. And what does he do to Shantal? He grabs her face and he pinches her cheek. That's the extent of the infection that he'll give her. You know when he does that to her, you know what that is? She doesn't realize it. She's too stupid. He's essentially emphasizing to her, yeah, I think that he's basically calling you fat, Shantal, without saying a word. Him grabbing at your cheeks, he's like just pinching your cheeks. He's without saying a word, he's saying that he thinks you're fat. You right to your face and just going right over your head. All right. So what do we got here? So they like from Miss Anthropope Lulu, you guys can see the screenshots from the live today, like what all she would like. This is why I'm not reviewing the live. Look, this is what she pulled out for her grocery haul that she had to make into a live. Cookies. We got look at all these chips. Look, we didn't just get one bag of potato chips. We got several. That bag is huge. So 6 assorted bags of potato chips. Shantal is a food addict. And Salah, you're going to bring all those potato chips in the house. What do you think is going to happen to them? They're snack foods. What do you think is going to happen? Mac and cheese. And she's so happy. Like, she doesn't smile as big around Salah as she does around food. You bring food around her, she gets the biggest smile on her face. Like, food is her complete happiness here. It's really sad that that's the one thing in life she looks forward to and the only thing that gives her joy. Okay, this is from Shenanigans. Chantal's blood sugar reading, 11.6. Yeah, eat all that junk food and let's see what it looks like after that. Show us the after. Yup says, during her latest live, Foodie Beauty claims that her blood sugar levels were 11 something. That means her levels are above 10 even after taking the maximum dose of Janumet. If she's actually taking her RX meds regularly, they're starting to lose their effects. Yeah, at some point they're going to stop working. And I would imagine with the max dosage of metformin or Genmet, it's putting a strain on her kidneys. They're hurting them. Okay, so that's it for all this stuff on Twitter. Just want to catch you guys up, just show you what she's been up to today. Mukbangs that nobody asked for except for the feeders. A live that there was nothing interesting going on, hence the reason why I'm not really covering it. Just her babbling her nonsense. But what we are going to do is react to her schooling haters ASMR video. And by the way, Shantal, you're not doing ASMR. I don't care what you say. I know what you're trying to do. You've looked around at the ASMR community, and there are lots of great channels that do ASMR. Wonderful channels. I've seen all different kinds of ASMR channels. I watch several. And there's all kinds of stuff out there, ladies and gentlemen. Anything you could ever want for ASMR. There are videos of people typing on their keyboards. Different kinds of keyboards make different kinds of sounds. Little fun fact, did you know that those who type on, say, a more plastic-based keyboard has a different sound than somebody who's typing on, say, a wooden keyboard? Some are much more quiet than others. Some are much more soothing than others. It's really fascinating. And then there's like one channel that I absolutely adore. Like they call her the wooden soup lady. I love her channel. But there's all kinds of stuff out there. People who crush uh, clay soaps and balls of clay. Love that. I love like the popping sounds. So I mean, I am a big fan of ASMR. And yet Chantal's trying so hard to get into that, attach herself to that, maybe use the ASMR tag to get around YouTube so she can continue to do her eating videos. I think that might be going on. Trying to find a way, trying to find the workaround with YouTube where they won't completely axe her channel. But even with eating videos, and I've seen several, and there are different ways to do it. When you do the ASMR eating, it's all about the pleasant eating sounds. And most ASMR eating channels, they don't make a mess. They don't get messy. You see maybe the bottom half of their face, or like the sounds are very pleasant. But you don't have to get sloppy and messy. That's feeder stuff. ASMR eating is not the same as feeder eating. There is a big difference, but she's trying to use the ASMR thing to continue to use YouTube as a portal to get in front of the feeders for free. Let YouTube do the advertising for her so then she could advertise her Cameo and take the feeders around the block and around the corner and say, hey, you want the really good stuff? Let's talk. Contact me on Instagram. I'll do some kind of content for you, and you can pay me by PayPal. So her being on YouTube is just a way to get in front of a lot more people and have a lot less competition around. You know, like she's using YouTube for purposes that it was never intended. But she's going to try to school us today, y'all. And that's okay, because you know what? Where are my glasses? Since she wants to play the teacher, okay, I got my teacher glasses on, Shantal. All right. And I love the title, don't you? Schooling Haters ASMR. So is this a role play video? Because there are ASMR role play videos, by the way. And a lot of people, they do a fantastic job, but this is not it. This is not a ASMR role play video. This is her just ranting, and she's calling it ASMR to, again, get around YouTube. Like she's trying to find little creative ways to get around the YouTube rules, to go to YouTube and say, it wasn't me. I didn't mean it that way, so don't spank me. Yeah, but you want to be the teacher today? You're going to get schooled. So y'all ready? Let's do this.
Hey there, Beezer.
You know what, Shantal? You still insist on putting the Cameo thing before the video. And we know now what you're using the Cameo for. I mean, I've been calling it for the longest. I knew exactly what you were using Cameo for. And if you weren't making money on Cameo, you wouldn't have kept up with it this long. You know, anything that you've tried that doesn't make you money, or you can't make money with it, or maybe it would take too long to make money with it, you lose interest. So you've had your Cameo for a while. You know, like there must be some money coming in with it. And I'm sure there aren't a lot of people that are coming to you wanting personalized messages for special holidays. So there has to be something else. Well, now we know what you're using it for. What it was just confirmation of what we all knew. We know why you're on Cameo. I still don't understand why you just won't fess up to what you do and go to a feeder site. and advertise that way and tell all your people to meet you over there. For some reason that bothers you. You think that Cameo is some sort of disguise for what you do? Well, the jig is up. Okay? It's all up. We all know what you're doing. And I think now that word is out, it's really out, you're really leaning hard into the feeder thing. I don't know if you're in competition with Hungry Fat Chick. I know that you are copying a lot of her content. I don't know why you would want to be in competition with somebody and ruin your health that way. But again, this is all you. You go ahead. You go ahead, all right? Do what you got to do.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And let's get into it, shall we? All right, so normally, somebody who has an online presence and is well known would just ignore
Shantal, you didn't tell me you were going to be a comedian today. Shantal got jokes, and that part right there was funny. Someone who's got an online media presence and is well known. Now that's funny. That's really funny. I mean, I'm rolling over here in my seat, Shantal. You're making me laugh. I'm loving it. This is not McDonald's, but I'm still loving it. And throughout the video, listen to the way she's talking. Like every word is just like she's talking like this, emphasizing every single word. But go ahead, Shantal. Like, give me some more jokes, please.
certain criticisms. Now, the thing is the community of reactors and critics and haters that orbit myself.
You know what? Fuck you, Shantal. I'm so sick of your shit. Fuck you. First of all, madam, I told you I was going to take you to school. I wasn't playing. All right? You talk about us orbiting you. Yet that's what you do to us. You're the one that spends your time on Twitter, on YouTube, watching every single video made about you, reading everybody's community posts, going into their live chats. Was that you last night that I saw when I was on panel with the House of Hannibal? You making that nasty comment under a sock account? Yeah, I think it was you. Yeah, you're all over the place. Where you are not invited, Sarah Lee, Charles Reed, and whatever socks you come up with today. Because you got 100 socks, you got one ragged pair of Skechers, but girl, you've got more socks than a sock store. You are orbiting all of us. We're over here on our channels giving our opinions, saying our feelings, giving our thoughts. And by the way, hypocrite, you criticize the reaction channels, but you yourself, believe it or not, are a reaction channel because you spend your time running around on YouTube and Twitter, checking out what everybody else is saying. And then you're doing a video like this one right here today. You're reacting to everything you've seen. You're reacting to everything you've heard. So you're saying that reactors were all vultures? Well, what does that make you, buzzard? What's that make you? If you're doing a video like this, where you're not just making content about you, you're running all over the place. You're listening to everybody when you really don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to listen. You could just stay in your own lane, stay in your own backyard, and wander nowhere else and don't aggravate yourself. You want to be aggravated. And you also want to grab at ideas for, say, the next arc, or the next content that you do. You criticize the reactors, yet you're a reactor yourself. But go ahead.
My being are dumber, more ignorant, and more petty than most.
Yay, petty.
They're not normal reactors. They're not normal tea channels because they create tea when there is none. But there is something that I see going around that I just want to correct and school people on.
Oh, yeah. Take us to school, teacher. Take us to school. Go ahead. You can try. You know, it's amusing to let you try. Go ahead.
Because there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to eating disorders.
You know what, bitch? Get started. I'll finish it for you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you speak first.
So I want to first say that people are picking apart my mukbangs. They claim to hate them. They don't like them. They can't stand the noises. Whatever. So now the tea on the mukbangs is that apparently every mukbang I do is massive and a binge.
It is. And I'm someone that I've dealt with BED. For real. You are binging. When you sit down and you do a mukbang, Shantal, you are eating the portion of equal to 4 to 6 people. That is crazy. And not only that, we know, because you basically confirmed it for us, that whatever food we see on the table, there's more underneath the table. There's the backup sandwich or the backup pizza or the backup spaghetti. You're not done eating. You're just hiding another meal underneath there. So not only do you have food on top of the table, there's food underneath the table. Like, again, you got to make sure that food surrounds you. It's nuts. But yeah, I'll say it. Yes, bitch, you are binging. Argue with me. It's a binge. And I know what you're going to do. You're going to use that whataboutism shit. I'm not putting up with that today. You do the whataboutisms trying to push away what you do and make it seem less bad. Or you try to act like you guys don't know what you're talking about. This is what a binge looks like, and this is what it's not. A binge can look like anything, y'all. You could have a person have a massive amount of food in front of them, and that could be a binge. Or they could eat like a smaller meal, and then an hour, like 15 minutes later, eat another one, and then 15 minutes to eat another one, and that could be a binge. Or just grazing on one thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing for hours, and that could be a binge. I mean, a binge could take many forms. It has many faces. It's different from person to person. But it's a binge. And it sounds like you're still pissed off, Shantal, that you were basically outed on Cameo for doing the feeder shit on there, which we all knew you were doing. That was just confirmation of what we already knew. And we called out. And I bet you're also mad about that because, y'all, listen, it's funny, really, when you think about it, because from here on out, if Chantal gets a feeder request on Cameo, she's going to be paranoid. She's going to be wondering, is this a real feeder or is this just somebody from YouTube, maybe a troll that is paying for a request and then they might expose it on YouTube somewhere. She's never going to know. Being exposed has messed up her game. She thought she was being so smart doing that stuff on Cameo. Oh, it's a perfect cover. They'll never know. We did know, though. We did know. I knew. I called it out. I said so. I did. But there was confirmation. But now there's that worry on your mind. Am I going to get trolled again? Am I going to get fooled again? Lied to again? Probably. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm not giving you my money. Maybe somebody else will at some point, but you just never know, huh, Shantal? You just never know. But yeah, what you do on camera is a binge. 1,000,000%. I'll stand on business with that. I will die on the hill with that. It's a binge. What's really weird about you is that you binge on camera. You lean into it. You're all about not only satisfying the feeders, but leaning into making them happy in whatever way they want, getting on camera and doing that feeder shit with a white drenched dripping down your face. And you know what the hell that looks like. And the moaning and the eye rolls, it's sexual. Like you're doing some kind of sexual thing with the food. That belongs off of YouTube, okay? You're not just doing like a simple mukbang like other mukbangers. You're turning it into a gross sexual thing. It needs to be on a private forum like OnlyFans or Patreon. That's where it needs to be. Tell your feeder guys to meet you over there. Put it behind a paywall and make your money. It does not belong on YouTube. You don't even age restrict your videos, so anybody can see it and be triggered by it. But yeah, it's a binge.
which most of them are neither. So let me explain. I will use the KFC mukbang as an example. Now,
Okay, so let's blow that up because I'm going to be fair. I'm going to look at it. That's still too much. Look, she got the can of Pepsi, which, okay, 2 wraps and a whole bucket of fries. That's a binge. Sorry, it is. And again, we know about the backup food because we know that's not all. I'm sorry. I've seen Shantal eat. This is not going to fill her up. This will keep her stomach happy for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. But she has said that she has to eat every 2 hours. And I think that has to do with the fact that she is catering to the feeders. She has to do as many requests as possible. To do that, she has to keep her stomach stretched out. To keep that stomach stretched out, she's got to eat copious amounts of food all the time so it doesn't shrink. If her stomach shrinks, she can't eat as much food, and then the feeders aren't happy. So that is just a beginner meal right there.
now the KFC mukbang I just recently did today is neither a binge, and it is neither. It's also not.
You know what, Chantal? Let's not play semantics here. Let's not play word games. You're over 500 pounds. Yes, you are. You were almost 400 pounds back when you were with BB. Okay, your last true weigh-in was 377, and that was back in 2018. You've gained a lot since then. I mean, anybody could look at the video from then, when you did your last true weigh-in, to now. Different people. Binge or not, you shouldn't be eating that crap. You're choosing to eat it, and you're making choices for yourself, but none of that is good for you. What you're doing right now is you're justifying what you're eating. You're justifying the amount, saying, "Oh, it's not that bad. This is not a binge." You're defending the food. You're defending food that is no good for you. Do you understand how stupid that is?
Massive. I will show you an example of a massive KFC binge.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so we've got this. I don't know who this person is. I got nothing against them. Like, she went hunting around on YouTube looking for somebody. And can I just tell y'all something? This looks photoshopped. I've never seen KFC buckets that big. Did you Photoshop that, Chantal? Like, I don't know this young lady again. I have nothing against her, but let's bring up an important point. I don't know this individual, but she's doing a mukbang, right? But I bet she does not have food addiction. She doesn't have BED. That means since she does not have food aggression and she doesn't have a food addiction, she could do this mukbang and stop. She's not going to be eating every 2 hours. She's not going to be aggressive with having massive amounts of food all the time. There are some marked differences here, Shantal. This is a mukbanger. You're a food addict. That's the difference. You are a food addict that is massively unhealthy. You got heart problems. You have breathing problems. You have mobility issues. Every single one of your organs inside of you is completely fucked. Like, if I'm not wishing this upon you, so don't try to put words in my mouth, but if something medical were to happen to you, your chance at life would be very, very slim. Like, what could the doctors do for you if something medical happened? If you've got high blood sugar, high blood pressure, every single one of your organs is screwed, damaged, corrupted, rotten, what are they going to do? There's not much they can do. You're not helping yourself out in that regard. Every time you sit down and do a mukbang binge, you're saying, screw you, health. Screw you, life. I don't really want to deal with you. I just want to eat. Okay? You want to eat. You're literally choosing food over life. Hey, it's your life. It's your choice. But you're doing the whataboutisms with the other mukbangers. But they're mukbangers. You're the food addict with the massive problem. A problem that they don't have. They can do a mukbang and stop. You can't, and you don't. Hence why you're so sick.
Right here. Okay, as you can see, there are a couple of buckets of chicken. There is just a whole lot of food there, okay?
Something tells me that Shantal got jealous looking at all that food. You know, like, she was probably eyeballing that food saying, I want that amount of food, although she doesn't need it. Like, whatever somebody has, she wants more. Like, if you have a massive amount of food, she wants a bigger amount of food. If you have this, and she wants this. You see, because she's very competitive that way.
And if you compare with my mukbang, I have 2 chicken wraps, which are large. Yes, I do comment that in my video. And I have one, it's actually an individual size of cheese fries because you can actually get smaller size or family size, as you can see pictured here.
Chantal, just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. You really are. You're embarrassing yourself. How many of the family portion size meal did you eat with is it biryani rice? Family portion size rice. A platter full of food. So was that an individual size too? I guess for you it would be. You're all about volume and bulk, and you got it. You don't want to just be full. You want to be over full. There must be something in you that you perceive that anything under overfull, you're starving, and that's not how it works. That's how screwed up your body and your mind are, and that's why you need therapy and inpatient to kind of put things back in balance. You really do need that inpatient, like, badly. But you're all about, like, you constantly go on your apps and you look for places that offer the deals, like, buy one, get one free pizza or family size meals for a small price. I mean, you're all about getting the most amount of food when honestly, you don't need that much food. You don't go out. You're not active. You don't do anything. You don't go anywhere. So why do you need all those doggone carbs? You really don't.
Yes, I come with receipts.
Oh my. Oh, look at you. Isn't she adorable? She honestly thinks she's doing something, showing this stuff. I got receipts too. Yeah, but your receipts don't count for much. Like, there's nothing shocking here. There's nothing mind-blowing here. You're showing screenshots of food, not really receipts, Chantal.
Now, I don't think anyone would accuse this mukbanger of having a binge here on KFC.
That's because she's not a food addict. You are, though.
Because they're thin. So.
Oh, please stop. Please stop. Are we doing this again? Are we really doing this again? You're trying to put out this vibe that the only reason why Girl World talks about you is because of your body size, Shantal. You know damn well that's not the only reason why we talk about you. You know it well. There's another mukbanger, Hungry Fat Chick. Do we talk about her? No, because she's unproblematic and she seems like a really nice person. So if the feeling that you're putting out of these Girl World reactors, they just look for bigger women to pick on, they're a bunch of bullies. If we were what you say we are, wouldn't we be going after, say, Hungry Fat Chick? Right, we could be going after her, but we're not. Because we leave her alone. We don't really talk about her in a derogatory way. You're the one we talk about because you're a problematic, angry, aggressive, evil, rotten bitch. That you hurt everybody that comes in contact with you. You even hurt animals, animal abuser, animal neglector. You're just awful. You're an awful human being. Running around acting like a human Pac-Man. Looking for power pellets. There's a host of reasons why we don't like you. There's so many that your body size and the pounds on you are at the way bottom of the list. Like that's not even in the top 10. You decided long ago to get on YouTube and be problematic and be dramatic and tell a bunch of lies and a bunch of lying stories and borrow off of other people's stories and other people's trauma, trying to add layers to your cake to make yourself seem more interesting. You had to find a way to keep people interested in you and watching your videos and watching your lives. So let's add some extra false, fake layers to the cake to make people seem like, to make yourself seem like you've had an interesting life when you really haven't. You know, your childhood growing up was not that big of a deal. So you've added extra layers to your cake. Oh, I've been through abuse and this happened to me and this happened to me and I grew up this way. No. You're not a victim of anything. You're a predator. You prey upon people. You prey upon the weak. You prey upon any weakness that is in anybody and try to use it for your advantage. Preying upon men. You're cruel and you're evil and you're rotten. You're narcissistic. You're obsessive. Stage 5 clinger. I mean, I can just keep going. So there's all kinds of reasons why we don't like you. But you were the one who brought those reasons to the table. You wanted on the YouTube and you put the reasons on this table, Shantal. You said, this is me and this is what I do. And all we did was give our thoughts and feelings on it. You wanted to make money on a public platform. So you got in front of the public and you put your videos and your lives out there. And you invited everyone to watch, including the reactors. We're part of the public. And as part of the public, we are allowed to express ourselves and give our thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Hello, freedom of speech. Problem with you is that you want to control the narrative always. And you want to feel free to change the narrative to suit your needs, to be able to prey upon and manipulate more people. And you hate the fact that there's Girl World, that there's many people in the community that have been around for quite a while, that know a lot of your lore. We are the record keepers. We remember a lot of stuff, and we got receipts for a lot of stuff. We got archives of a lot of stuff. You can't stand that. The fact that you want to erase part of the past and pretend it didn't happen, and people in girl world can go, oh, by the way, I remember this, 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 and this, and here's the receipts for all of it, y'all. You want to act like it never happened when it did, and we can prove it did happen. You hate that. You're a control freak, and you hate those that you cannot control. You want to be the puppet master to everybody, where there are some who are not on your strings.
So there's the stigma right there, just because I'm overweight.
Oh, shut up. Your weight is your issue, Shantal. It's entirely yours. Entirely yours, ma'am. You know, you're dealing with it. It's for you to decide if you want to do something or not. You're not hurting us by gaining another 100 pounds or eating another 10,000 calories. That hurts only you. See, that's a ridiculous thing about you. You do things to try to spike girl world and flip us the middle finger. At the same time, what you do hurts you the most. And something inside your brain has not clicked on. That switch has not been activated, where you just think to yourself, hang on, I'm doing this to get back at girl world, but I'm only hurting myself. So is it worth it? Is it worth it? Nah, it's not. But you seem to think it is because you're petty like that.
Anything I eat that is not healthy, and I will acknowledge that the food I eat in mukbangs a lot of the time are not healthy. I use my mukbang as a means to things that most people think I shouldn't eat, and to eat things that,
You know, okay, so that you guys noticed that little, when she did this thing, you know, even she knows what she's doing is messed up. She knows that that food is not good for her, but the feeders are, they're not going to pay her to eat salad. Not the other salad, but you know what I'm talking about. They're not going to pay her to eat the healthy food. The more processed, the more unhealthy, the sloppier, the nastier, the better. That's what they're paying for. That's what they will continue to pay for. Those are the people that she caters to. And she has chosen a system and a life where basically she's focused on meeting their needs versus taking care of her own.
are just not really obviously healthy. So the thing is you're right. That probably isn't a binge for her. Just because
Yeah, it's not a binge for her because she doesn't have BED. And she's not a food addict, but you are. That's why you can't compare yourself to other mukbangers, because you have this condition going on that needs correction, that needs therapy and inpatient, and you're not fixing it. But other people who do mukbangs, they are not wrapped around food, obsessed with food, consumed by food. That is strictly you.
somebody is eating large quantities of food in one sitting does not mean that it is considered a binge in terms of binge eating disorder. So I've explained this many times, but again, the community of...
You know what's really fucked up about her? Is that Shantal, she's known for years, even before getting on YouTube. She's known for many, many years. She's got an issue with food. She is known even before YouTube. When she was young, her family tried to get her help. He took her to see somebody. So she has known before YouTube she's got an issue with food. She's gone to see people. They've talked to her. The thing is, she does not want to be treated. She wants to continue. She gets on YouTube and she talks about her issues, but she doesn't want to treat them. And she doesn't want anybody else treating them either. So that's why we keep running in circles with her. She wants to go only as far as talking about it and getting sympathy and money for it and then go no further. And she's got the money, she's got the time, she's got the resources to get help. She's choosing not to. She's choosing a life of addiction and obsession over healing. And that is her choice. She is a person. She's got her own sense of free will. She can do as she likes. It's just unfortunate that life handed her a cup of fortune. It gave her a golden cup and said, here's a golden cup full of everything good. Do what you want with it. We're going to give you prosperity. We're going to give you plenty. Do as you will. And she changed what was in that cup to being poisonous and toxic and hurting herself by misusing and abusing what was inside of it. So do I feel sympathy for her? Nope. Nope. Because there are lots of other people that have had BED that got on the other side of it with less resources and less money. So it's not about money and resources. It's about, do you recognize the problem? And once you recognize it, what are you going to do about it? Do you want to get on the other side? Because if you do want to get on the other side of it, you can and you will. But if you don't, you're essentially going to be treading water and staying in place, which is what is happening with her.
Reactors or haters or whatever, they are like talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, we're talking to you. That's why we're talking to a brick wall. And you're right, talking to you, talking at you, it's like talking to a brick wall. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you think that the reactors are the most hateful people, Shantal. We're not. You want to know who the hateful fuckers are? Look in your own chat. Your own chat. The people that are in there talking about food with you, and you're a food addict. They know that you have an addiction to food, and yet they mention food to you, saying, oh, you should go get some food, and I want to eat this, and I want to eat that. Asking when your next mukbang is, and can you do a dessert mukbang? They might as well just grab a shovel and go to the nearest graveyard and start digging a hole for you. They're encouraging you in your addiction. They're not pointing out it's wrong. They're just going along with it. Maybe they have issues with food. Maybe they've got a food fetish. I don't know. But anybody over there talking about food to a food addict, that's messed up. I've said it before and I'll say it again. That is messed up.
And once they've made up their mind about something about your life, they're always right and you're always wrong, no matter what you do. Even if you prove yourself. Sorry, I'm removing the lid of a new pot so that my cat can sit inside and I can take you pictures. And yeah. So, I'm always wrong. And everyone knows best. Everyone's an expert in this and that.
You know what, Shantal? We all make mistakes. We all make bad decisions. I've made bad decisions, and I can freely admit that. I've had many things that I've done in my life that it was like that was a bad decision. I'm human though, and I could admit that and say I have had a less than perfect life, and I made some bad choices which ended up affecting me badly. But I did my best to learn from those bad choices, so the next time I would make a better choice. But you're on YouTube, doing your content, and you're getting feedback from people that are not your feeders, that are not your beezers, which act as your yes men. You got the other side of the community that are pointing out your bullshit. And they're saying like that you need to slow down, you need to go to therapy, you need some counseling. Tell me something. How can you classify Girl World as being hateful if we are simply telling you things that you need to do that pertain to you getting in better health? Would a true hater do that? A true hater would say, go ahead, eat all that food and make yourself more sick and get in the hospital. Yeah, do it. Because that's what your feeders are doing. That's why I say they're hateful people. The criticism you get from Girl World, yeah, it's harsh. It may be hard to hear. Truth is sometimes a bitter pill to swallow, but you need to swallow it. But you got all kinds of people pointing out these things to you, maybe in a nice way, maybe in a not nice way. You could listen and learn. You don't learn. Maybe if you listen to some of what Girl World is saying, and you tried some of it, your life might be a little bit better. Maybe if you tried the therapy, if you tried the counseling, it might help you. You could try these things, and you don't have to give credit to anybody and say, oh, so-and-so told me to do this, so I did it. If you don't want to give credit, you don't have to. Just look at things from the other side. You hate Girl World because there's entirely too much truth in it. And there's entirely too many people telling you the truth. And there's nothing that a liar hates more than the truth. For someone like yourself that you lie all the time, the truth is kryptonite. It's so offensive. You don't want to hear the truth. You don't want to acknowledge the truth. Even when you're caught dead to rights and you know you're completely in the wrong, you will not admit that you're wrong. That is your narcissistic pride. You know what's crazy, Shantal? You look at Girl World as the enemy. But if you want to see the greatest enemy to you, all you have to do is look in the mirror. You are your own worst enemy. And when it comes to a better life, you get in your own way. You stop yourself. You're a person. You can do anything you want. But when you make bad choices and bad decisions and surround yourself with bad people, you get in your own way. Even when you see the signs that you should let go of somebody and let go of a situation, you continue to hang on. You could have a neon sign in front of your face, out, get gone, do something else. It's right there. You can't miss it. You'll ignore it just because of pride, because you don't want to let go of the past or people from the past. Natter. You want to hang on because you're thinking, this is all I've got. I'm holding on to this little bit of something because it's all I've got. And if I let it go, I've got nothing. Well, sometimes having nothing is a good thing, because if you are letting go of the past, that means you could pick up something better in the future or in the present. But you're so insecure that you're like, I can't let this little bit go. I can't let go of Natter. I can't let go of Salah. Yeah, but why hang on to them? What good are they doing you? Nothing. Although I will say that I'm glad you are hanging on to Salah. He's a scumbag, so are you. You're two peas in a pod, and as long as the two of you are together, that means you're not bothering some good man with a good heart out there that all you would do is wreck and ruin his life. So, stay in current company, would you?
They know more about your life, how you feel, than you do your own.
Ma'am, did you forget about Crackhead Olympics? What did you do? You streamed for 8 to 12 hours a day, every day for a year. You wouldn't stop streaming. You are hyped up and tweaked out on the Coca-Cola. I would wake up in the morning and you've already done 2 live streams. By the time I'm done reacting to them, you got 2 more. And this would literally keep going until after midnight. And this went on for months and months and months. That's when you were pulling in the big paychecks, mama. Remember that? I bet you remember that. So yeah, we're not there in the real with you, but doggone it, man. When you sit there and you watch somebody for that long, you're watching this person for 8 to 12 hours a day, every day for months, you get a good sense of who they are and what they're about. You're watching them from morning till night, morning till night, morning till night, morning till night, for months and months and months. You kind of get to know them a little bit, get a sense of what's going on with them. Yeah, we do know you better than you know yourself, and you hate that. You hate that about girl world. The fact that we can predict what you're going to do before you do it. You hate the fact that you're predictable and that we can predict you and the things that you're up to. That we call you out on your lies. That we somebody out there invented the thing with the Shantel cycle, which is still relevant today. That you create a pattern and a formula for making money, and you've stuck with it ever since. Oh, this is part of the Chantal cycle. Here we go again. I mean, like, you are so one-sided, one-layered, and very predictable and boring.
And that's something that's a true phenomenon right there. Now, I want to school you a little bit on what a binge is for me. And
go ahead and try to school. I'm right here looking dead at you. Go ahead.
Binge eating disorder is very personal, and each individual would probably define what they consider a binge a little different and from the next person. I would say that there are some base foundations that if you...
Okay. You know what I love about this part? Because Chantal is showing a receipt. But in my opinion, it's a receipt that works against her. So let me just read it for y'all. Like, I love it when receipts are shown, but I love it when she tells on herself, and she's about to tell on herself by showing this. This is where you screwed up, Chantal. Okay, let's look over here to this, on the right. Let's see. Let's read the whole thing. So let's start on the left. Binge eating disorder versus basic overeating. What is the difference? Overeating can be a normal tendency for many individuals, such as having an extra helping at a meal, even when already full, or eating beyond satiety. Satiety? Did I say that? You know what I'm talking about. At a special holiday meal or celebratory occasion. It can be confusing to figure out where to draw the line between overeating and binge eating, especially if you find yourself wondering what is considered binge eating. Okay, let's go to the left now. What is binge eating disorder? According to the American Psychiatric Association, the APA, binge eating disorder, BED, is defined as recurring episodes of eating significantly more food in a short period of time than most people would eat under similar circumstances, with episodes marked by feelings of lack of control. Further, okay, pay attention to this part. Lean in, y'all. Further, men and women who struggle with binge eating typically experience feelings of disgust, guilt, or embarrassment, and binge eat in isolation to hide the behavior. That part is important. This is why I say I don't think Chantal truly has BED, because she binge eats on camera. With the camera running, she records what she does. She's showing everybody. She'll sit there and eat like that on live in front of people. And she's not ashamed. And she's not embarrassed. So, like, I don't think she has BED. I think she has a food addiction. You can be a food addict and not have BED. But with her, there's no disgust. There's no guilt. There's no embarrassment. I did go through those feelings of BED. I didn't want anybody to see me having my episodes. Like, I would just felt like I was out of control. I was on a roller coaster. I couldn't get off. But she's doing it in full view of the public for the purpose of making money off the public and finding different members of the public that would support that behavior. So how in the world does she have BED? So thank you for showing this, Chantal, because just this definition alone, I don't think you have it. I don't think you have BED. So maybe you should stop putting the BED tags, BED recovery, uh, all that on your videos. Can you please stop? Leave that side of YouTube alone. Thanks.
You look up binge eating disorder, that certain organizations will tell you, these are the signs, the symptoms, things like that could be included. Just kind of like when everyone has a flu, not everyone has diarrhea. Not everyone has the same symptoms. So basically, for me, and I told the doctor I've seen about this. Just a reminder, I have been to a center, outpatient center for eating disorders in Ottawa when I lived there in Canada.
So this, she went to a doctor years ago. Was there any kind of recovery? No, there wasn't. She's known about all these problems. She knew about her diabetes years ago. She knew about some of her health problems years ago. Did she do anything? No, she doesn't care about her health. She cares about exploiting her health and selling slices of her health for $30 on Cameo, but she doesn't care on repairing the damage.
Before that, I've seen a few therapists for a few sessions, quite a few sessions. I've been.
Okay, so let's talk about the therapy. She hasn't been to that many sessions, and when you go to therapy for something like that, you got to go more than once. You got to keep going to your therapist and keep talking and really getting down to the nitty-gritty. Like getting to the root of the matter, because there might be some emotional issues tied up with the food. There might be some trauma. There might be some bad memories or something that is tied up with the food, and you got to pull it all apart slowly and look at it and examine it under a microscope and figure it out. But she goes to one therapy session and she doesn't go back. So like the one thing that would have done her the most good, she never really subscribed to it. She doesn't want to go to therapy. What she wants to do is get on YouTube and trauma dump in the ears of all of her beezers and talk about all of her health issues and all of her problems, and yet she's not willing to fix them herself when she's got all the time in the world to do so.
Into inpatient therapy growing up as a teenager, and yada yada yada.
Yeah, so she just confessed. Like this has been going on since she was a teenager, all the way back, going to doctors since she was a teenager. She's known about this since she was a teen. And here we are, and she's 40 years old. Has anything changed? Nope.
So I've read books on binge eating, brain over binge, the binge code, intuitive eating books.
Shantal, when are you going to figure it out that you are far too broken? You cannot fix yourself. If you could have fixed yourself, you would be healthy, right? You wouldn't have any issues. But there's not a single broken thing inside of you that you've been able to fix. Whatever mental issues, emotional issues you have, you can't fix those on your own. As far as any damage to your internal organs, you can't fix that either. You can maybe manage it a little bit. You can make things a little bit better. But there's a lot of things going on with you that you cannot self-diagnose and fix. You don't have the training. You don't have the degree. You don't have the knowledge. You need an outside perspective. You've got to talk to people. You got to get that outside perspective, because all you have is your perspective. And unfortunately, your perspective is warped. You think there's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfectly fine. You're too busy living in Delulu land. You want the fantasy, you want the fairy tale so much that you're willing to ignore all the things that are wrong in reality just to live in Delulu land. That is not healthy.
I've downloaded countless calorie counting apps. And
yeah, well, we can see how much good that's done. You've read all these books, you downloaded the apps, at the same time, you're doing mukbangs and eating thousands of calories. So I guess none of that is helping, is it?
And I've tried many diets. But for me, a binge, when I enter binge mode, we'll call it, it's not just about how much food I'm eating. And I can tell you right now, you're not going to see me actually have a binge in terms of binge eating disorder, which is when I binge eat, on camera. There's a big, big difference between overeating and binge eating.
Overeating is when you go over just a little bit. And we've all done it. Like if you sit down at say Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner and you're sitting with the family and there's tons of good food, yeah, there's probably going to be a little bit of overeating there. I mean, you're sitting with the family, you're enjoying yourself, and you're just celebrating, and you're having a good time, and you might eat too much, and then you feel like a fat hamster. Hey, I can say that because I felt that way. Okay, so like that's overeating, just topping off the tank a little bit extra. What she does goes way beyond that. And Shantal, I know when your tank is way topped off. I know the signs. When you're sitting there, you're so full that you got to take that deep inhale, like you've got no room in your stomach and you're just looking for it. I've seen you do it. You sit there, the binge monster in your head is saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. But your stomach is saying, dude, I just can't. And you're just take that breath, that long breath, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can keep going. I've seen you do it many times, mama, many times.
And the difference is a very psychological one more than physical. And it's psychological triggers that cause the physical binge eating. And in a mukbang, it's planned, it's calculated, it's done. There's a mean to it. There's a reason for it.
She's doing like the gymnastics here right now. Somebody phone up the Olympics and say like make a new category for Shantal, because she's sitting doing all kinds of mental emotional gymnastics right in front of us. She's doing backflips, she's doing somersaults with the wordplay, the lip service. It's insane. Somebody make a new category in the Olympics for Shantal, talking her way all around what she knows is bullshit. Oh, this is what a binge looks like, and mukbangs look like this, and if I'm eating this amount of food, and if it's calculated, it's not a binge. Girl, stop. You're sounding ridiculous.
Right. Mukbang is a huge thing on the internet.
By the way, Chantal, since you want to talk all about mukbangs, let me just pass along some information for you. Since you're trying to act the part of the teacher, although you have no knowledge, no education, and you're stupid, let me pass along some information to you about mukbangs. Did you know the origins, like the origin story for the true mukbangs? It's sort of I believe over in Korea. See, over in Korea, it is not the norm to eat by yourself, to go out and eat by yourself. So people would get online and do live streams. They turn their camera on and just eat a normal meal, not a tremendous amount of food, just a normal meal, and talk to people while they ate. So for those who are, say, away from family or they're at work and they just want to eat their meal and get the sensation of eating with somebody, they could turn on one of these mukbangers and kind of feel like they were not alone while they were eating. That's the origin story of true mukbangs. And then the whole mukbang thing somehow got over here to the Western world and it became something entirely different for YouTube. But that's the origin story for mukbangs. Yeah, I looked it up. So what you're doing is not a mukbang. Okay, like even if you want to classify it as a mukbang, I'm not getting the sensation when I watch your videos that if I were sitting directly in front of you, that you would eat that amount of food in that way. Like mukbangs are supposed to be about getting the feeling of sitting in front of somebody and like having a meal with them. It feels kind of personal. I don't get that with you. What I get is you catering to the fucking fears. That's what I get. You catering to the feeders. Hard. Like you're aiming all your videos at them with the sauce dripping down your face. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it.
I'm not the only one. I'm not the only overweight one to do it. And also not the only overweight one with health problems to do it as well. A lot of people don't talk about their
You know
personal
what?
life.
I'm going to say this. If somebody, anybody on YouTube, if they have an addiction to food, if they have BED, whether it's Shantal or somebody else, anyone that's got a problem with food, you have no business doing mukbangs. No business. That is horrible for your health. That is absolutely horrible. It's a really, really bad decision. You're ruining your health for just what, a paycheck? I would say the same thing to somebody else that I'm saying to Chantal. She's a fool for selling her health for $30 a pop. But I would say the same thing to somebody else if they were doing it on Cameo or otherwise. If you're an addict to something, you should seek out treatment and help and therapy, not give your addiction a job and put it to work.
As usually mukbangers don't, a lot of them. So I understand the reception for that. People are concerned because I do talk a lot about my health problems. People know I have eating disorder. I have
You have food addiction. You don't suffer from BED.
diabetes. But what you don't know on a daily basis is other things that I eat throughout the day. You don't know how often I actually.
You know what, Chantal? Even if we can't see you eat every meal during the day, you'll sometimes post 3 mukbangs in a day. Then we also know you're on Cameo, and it would seem you're doing the feeder stuff on Cameo as well. And what we know about you is that you eat nothing but junk food. So even if we're not in the room, we know that you like your junk food. We know that you eat nothing but junk food. We know you don't like to cook. We know you like lots of carbs, lots of sugar. So we can pretty much put 2 and 2 together. You know what I mean? You don't strike me as the kind of person that you're only doing an unhealthy video and then after the camera's turned off, you're going to eat a healthy meal to balance that out, or you're going to go work out. No, you've devoted yourself to the unhealthy lifestyle. You're catering to the gainers. You're catering to the immobilizers. You're catering to the feeders. So if there are some people talking to you and you are simply catering to their fantasy and they're paying you a monthly stipend or something to that nature, they're essentially paying you to get sick and to stay sick. And you're okay with that.
Actually do binge eat, and you don't know whether allowing myself to eat these foods actually does help or not with the actual binge eating.
You know what, Chantal, you can justify all you want. You can talk till you're blue in the face. I can't see how, if you are a food addict and processed food, fast food is your trigger food. One moment, please. Okay, where were we? Let's keep going.
So I want to say that for me, a binge is, binge disorder is a disorder. That's why when I went for outpatient treatment, I was, seen by a psychiatrist. I was put on Vyvanse. I was, went through rigmarole, and yeah. So I mean, it obviously didn't cure me, but
You know why nothing changed? Because she didn't stick with it. Whenever her family would take her to a treatment facility or a doctor, Chantal just resisted getting better. Like, she just very rebellious. I know what I'm doing and you can't tell me what to do and all that stuff. But she's known about this for years and nothing has changed. Here we are. She's 40, nothing has changed.
it I felt like the doctor didn't have as experience with binge eating as they
Oh, like, so that was the attitude. Oh, basically you're saying, I felt like the doctor didn't know what he was talking about. So therefore, I'm not going to listen to him. Even if he 100% couldn't help you, it'd be worthwhile to listen to him, because there might be some things you could take away from the sessions that might help you a little bit, but you were not committed, Chantal.
do with other eating disorders. And that's because, again, if you have an eating disorder and you're obese and it shows, people just assume that you just overeat and you're just a pig. Basically, that's exactly how it goes. They don't think that you have disordered eating. And
you know what, Chantal? You should be ashamed of yourself. Honestly, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because here you are on YouTube, making the money that you do. And if you had screwed your head on tight years ago, the life that you imagine for yourself when you're alone, you could have had it by now. Honestly, the money you've made on YouTube, you could have had anything and everything you wanted. You could have been in tip-top shape for your health, tip-top shape for your body, have your teeth done, car paid off, no taxes, investments in businesses, and just savings in the bank and living off the interest and traveling where you wanted to go. But you chose to take the abundance that you were given and abuse it, and either stick it up your nose or shove it in your mouth, and it came out the other end. Talking about everything that's wrong with you. At the same time, you've always had the power to fix a lot of those things and keep things from getting to the level where they are now. There are lots of people in the world at this very minute that they're dealing with their own issues. Could be some physical issues, could be emotional issues, could be mental issues. All they want is to get better and to be healthier and have more freedom and be more relaxed. And here you are with all the freedom in the world, all of the money in the world. And you've taken the abundance and just abused it. 8 years being on YouTube and you've got nothing to show for it. Nothing at all.
I'm here to tell you that regardless of what you think, it doesn't mean that you know. Okay, there's a big difference there, and you don't know what you're talking about. So for me, getting back to this, I go on tangents. For me, an actual binge is a psychological issue, and it's usually triggered by different things. But it's usually just a big, overwhelming urge. I'm trying to think of how to describe it accurately. It's hard to describe. It's a feeling. It's like a overwhelming feeling. And it's not something I would want to see myself do, and it's not something I would want to show people. Throughout my whole life.
Yeah, but you have been showing people. I mean, you're over there doing fear content and you do stuff on YouTube. What is that? You're binging on camera for money. Putting your digestive system to work, putting your addiction to work, taking the metformin, abusing the medication just to keep on with your binges. For the sake of what? For money? To make the feeders happy? To get more requests? To do what? Get more money? To buy more fast food? I mean, do you not see the toxic system here that goes nowhere? You're putting yourself on a hamster wheel that goes absolutely nowhere. All of this just to support an addiction and to make the addiction grow more out of control than what it actually is. I mean, the last time you spoke about your food issue, Chantal, you confessed to us in Canada that you were spending $4,000, $5,000 a month in food. That's not counting junk food. That wasn't counting your Starbucks visits or your visits to the dispensaries. That was just on food. That is insane. Insane. And there's no telling where your food habit is now. I mean, it's all about making the problem bigger, making it much bigger. Like, what is this stuff? When is enough enough? How much food is enough? How much money do you need to say, I've got enough money for my addiction? What's it going to take before you finally hit the wall?
If I've had this, I used to sneak food, hide it in my bedroom. When I was living in a group home, I used to steal food from the fridge, bring it up to my bedroom.
I'm telling you, I love how she tells on herself. So again, like she likes to talk about her childhood. What she's talking about right here was when she was a teenager, she bullied her little sister so bad that her family actually sent her to a group home. How far do you have to push your parents for them to do that? Like that. That's just how rotten she was. They said, hey, you got to go to a group home. You're too much. You're bullying your sister. You can't stay here. So back in her teenage years, she's talking about being in a group home and taking the food. So this problem with food goes all the way back, way before YouTube.
Like big blocks of cheese and bread and whatever. So I binge in secret. It's something that I hide. I mean, I've told you guys the stories about the pizza boxes in my closet.
Yeah. Okay. So for those that don't know what she's talking about, just to fill in the empty spaces, when Shantal was with BB, she was doing the binge eating with BB, the secret sneak eating with BB. BB was a hardworking man, good man, worked all day. So she would, eat, and she would hide pizza boxes in the closet so that BB wouldn't find out, which led to a roach infestation in the house because of her and her filthy, sloppy ways. But once BB found out that she had a problem with food, I'm sure he didn't really know what to do with a food addiction. So he wanted her to eat healthy and go to the gym. Chantal didn't stick with it. But when she talks about the pizza boxes in the closet, that's what she means. This happened when she was with BB.
When I used to live with BB, so it's like I do it in secret. I don't do it as a mukbang.
Yeah, but the difference is you're not living now with a man who would disapprove of what you're doing. When you were with BB, he wasn't on board with you doing the feeder content. He wasn't on board with, I'm going to support your food addiction and I'm going to go get you food like Salah does. So yeah, you did hide your food issue with him because you felt like you had to. You knew that he would not approve of it, nor would he support it. So you hid it. But now that you're with Salah and you've got Salah under your thumb and you're the puppet master and you're controlling him with your money, you don't have to really hide it from him. As long as he gets his paycheck, he'll do whatever you ask him to do. He'll go get your food at 3 a.m. if that's what you want. There's no need to hide when you've got somebody around that they understand what's up and they're getting a paycheck and they're on board with it too. There's no need to hide it.
If I think I've shown maybe a couple of binges as more of a vlog or like an educational thing.
Fuck off. Oh, I just did a binge for educational purposes. No one needs to be educated about that in that way, especially from someone like you. Okay, listen, Chantal, I'm seeing through your bullshit right now, and it's pissing me off. It absolutely pisses me off. You don't do binges for educational purposes. What you do is you get on YouTube and you fucking binge and you try to find creative, sneaky ways to do it to get away with it. So you won't get in trouble. The same way you try to find little creative, sneaky ways to go at the reactors without getting yet another strike on your channel, because you know you're walking on thin ice with YouTube. You know you are. So you sit down with your little notepad and you draw little pictures of people and, oh, let's do Pictionary. That way you have something to talk about with the picture. And then if somebody reports you for hateful content, you can just say, well, we were just playing a game. Yeah, I see you. You shouldn't be doing binges for educational purposes or any other reason. As a matter of fact, I will say this to you. Because you have an issue with food, you should not be doing any kind of food-related content on YouTube, period, full stop, end of sentence, end of story. If you got an issue with food, that should be off the table. Do any kind of content, but not involving the thing that you're addicted to. And I know you're going to say, oh, that's a slippery slope. Oh, no, no, no. That's not slippery. You're going to fall all the way to the bottom of the mountain. There's no slippery about it. You're just going to slide all the way to the bottom. Because once you get started eating, you're not going to stop. And you'll justify it, because that's what the binge monster does. It'll justify. Oh, you were so good today. Go ahead and eat 3,000 calories. You deserve it. Like that voice in your head, it knows what it's doing. It's cunning, manipulative, just like you. And you'll listen to it. I know all about that voice, Shantal. It's mean.
To be transparent and show you what it's like for me. I may not even have, I don't remember that far back about what I did with the video, if I did a video like that, but for a mukbang, no, it's not like that. A mukbang is a mukbang. So even if you see this lady here with this huge
like, I don't know who this woman is. She keeps spotlighting her several times. She probably looked up to find the biggest KFC mukbang on YouTube and then grabbed her thumbnail.
mukbang, it's probably still not a binge. I mean, I don't know her life, but
I guarantee you that woman did not eat all that food. I mean, that's just too much. Maybe she just got that amount of food to get the thumbnail, to get people to watch the video, you know, as a selling point. But I doubt she ate all of that food. There's no way.
Just because there's lots of food doesn't mean that it's a binge, okay?
You binge, though. You do.
So anyway, I would, just get massive quantities of food when I'm alone,
Which is all the time. You're alone all the time. Do you not see the problem? Look, you being in Kuwait has been horrible, Shantal. All the isolation, being bored, going nowhere, talking to nobody. It has been horrible on your health. I mean, you were kind of, wanting to stay in the house a lot, but at least in Canada, you could get into the Kia and go out once in a while and go places. You had freedom and you liked it. You like that freedom to be able to go out of the house and do things. In Kuwait, you don't know anybody. You don't go anywhere. You're alone a lot. You do nothing but sit on your phone and scroll through the reaction channels and their chats and all that. You aggravate yourself with that isolation. You pretty much got cabin fever. And yet you won't go home. The one thing you need to do. Because you know what? I'm going to be a mean bitch. But I'm going to be a truthful bitch right here, right now. And you're probably going to say later, oh, she was so hateful. No, ma'am. I am just going to make you aware of something. Just aware. And it's up for you to think about or not think about, to consider or not consider. If you have a medical event, if it happens to be at home, you're in an apartment building, right? I don't know what floor you're on. I don't care to know. I'm not in your business like that. But if you have a medical event, these are things you should know. At your current size right now, over in Kuwait, sending out an ambulance is not a common thing. It isn't common like it is in the Western world. And someone of your size, you would need a bigger ambulance than normal. So you are in a place where they normally do not send out an ambulance to come get you. And given your size, you might need a bus, like a double sized ambulance. Not only that, Chantal, but considering the fact that you're 500 pounds, you're bigger than most people who have medical situations and crises and events. Because of your size, if you were to have a medical event at home, such as a stroke or a heart attack, it would take easily 8 to 12 people just to put you on some kind of stretcher or gurney. You would need that many people because there's no way that one person or two people, even three people, can pick up and lift a 500-pound person and put them on a board and strap them to it. They wouldn't be able to put you in the elevator to take you downstairs. They'd have to put you on a board, strap you on, and take you, like slide you down the stairs. And every second counts. You do realize that, right? Like your size and your lack of health, with all your organs being screwed, every second counts. So the longer it takes you to get to a hospital, the more that's going to work against you. But you would need at least 8 to 12 people to put you on a board. They couldn't take you in an elevator because 12 people cannot fit in the elevator with you. It had to be downstairs. Meanwhile, the time is ticking away. No ambulance. So I can't pick you up and put you in the car to take you to the hospital. And then once you got to the hospital, if you got there, another 8 to 12 people. You don't like people to see you, but if you have a medical event, everybody in the neighborhood is going to know about it. Everybody in the hospital is going to know about it, and they're going to talk about it. I promise you. If that happens, and doing CPR on a person who is very overweight is very, very difficult. So you're over in Kuwait, where you're not going to be able to get an ambulance out immediately. Maybe there wouldn't be the correct size ambulance. You want to take that risk for some Cheetos, for some Doritos, for some paneer or poutine? Is it really that worth it? Is it really that good? Yeah, think about it.
Feeling a particular way, sometimes you just feel the binge urge come on, and I don't really know how to describe it other than that. And it's very hard to control. It's very hard to fight. I mean, if it wasn't, there wouldn't be anyone with this disorder, right?
It is. I will concede with her. It is hard to fight. It makes it's easier once you start developing new habits and letting go of old habits. If you develop routines and rituals around food, and eating is the coping mechanism, in order to fix that, first you have to repair your relationship with food. You got to give it the respect it deserves, and you got to look at it and treat it as it's just food. This is not a stand-in for love. It is not supposed to be medicine. It's just something that I put in my mouth to give me energy to go out in the world and do things and be more active. It has no other purpose than that. Some of it may taste really good, but that's its only job. Don't give it more hats to wear than what it's supposed to have. But in order to break through BED, you've got to let go of the old habits and the old rituals and develop new habits and new rituals. You got to have new coping skills, new coping mechanisms. You've got to get away from the old routines that trap you on that roller coaster. If you are sad and you're upset and your coping mechanism was to eat a certain food item, you got to develop the routine of, if you start to feel upset, okay, when we feel this way, we're going to go for a walk. Let's just get out of the house. I'm going to walk around the block for about 15 minutes and I'm going to clear my head and I'm going to calm down. I am not going to eat when I'm upset because I know what's going to happen. You've got to be self-aware of yourself. You've got to be on the watch for yourself. You've got to have those coping mechanisms and coping skills and go to therapy to figure stuff out. And all of that makes everything easier. You'll have something to fight with. She has nothing to fight with. As a matter of fact, she doesn't want to fight. She doesn't want to fight the habit. She wants to lean into it.
It's notorious for being hard to fight, you know.
Shantal, as far as you and your habit, you are a lost cause. You can call me a hater for saying that, but that's the truth. You're a lost cause because honestly, you don't feel like you've got a problem. You're in denial. That's number one. Number two, you created a channel where you created this whole messed up, screwed up system, this machine, if you will, of putting your addiction to work and finding people who supported you in your addiction and supported the addiction itself to the point where they will give you money to keep it going. And in return for them giving you money to keep it going, you would buy the food and do your fix on camera and get high in front of everybody. So for those that have the food fetish, that was their bit of happiness. And your bit of happiness was you had this food addiction and other people were paying for the food. And you thought you were so smart doing that, but you're the stupidest person in the world. Indulging an addiction that way, feeding the Godzilla, feeding the addiction kaiju, making it bigger and bigger and bigger, never slaying the doggone thing.
For example, like if I was alone previously, I would just start eating anything I could grab. Like sometimes I would even just eat like anything, literally. Like I one time ate relish, like because there was dill relish in the
Relish on a burger? I'm sorry, I had to.
fridge, and that was the last thing I could binge on. Like 3 to 4 packets of noodles, of ramen, 5 little bags of chips, a whole tray of cheese, a whole block of cheese, just mindlessly.
You know, I think the only reason why she doesn't go full on monster binge is because Salah he could be possibly controlling the money a little bit. I mean, she has said that he controls the money. I don't know how much, but he's there and she's got to give part of her money to him. So I'm wondering if he controls the money a little bit. And because of that, she can't do full on monster binges. Or if she does those are private content. She'll never show us that stuff.
Autopilot, just not even thinking about it. And then after you binge eat, you have this more psychological side effect of just this overwhelming feeling of guilt and like
You never feel guilty though. That's why I don't think you have BED. I think you've got food addiction, you know. But you don't feel guilty. You'll sit there, go on live and eat food in front of people after complaining about all your health problems. Girl, you are an abyss of emptiness. You are a void space of emptiness. You do not have any kind of empathy. You have no remorse. You have no regret about the things you say, about the things you do, about the way you hurt yourself. No conscience. That's why you're able to do the things that you do and say the things that you say and still sleep at night. You've removed the humanity within yourself.
like shame and just ickiness. You cringe at yourself, and you're
Yeah,
like,
but you don't feel that way. I've never seen like the aftermath of like I shouldn't have eaten it. Whenever she says something like that, she's got a smirk on her face, duper's delight. She doesn't feel any regret for the food that she eats. She's actually bragged about eating the fast food. She goes, I got the easiest job in the world. Like she thinks she's so smart. She's not.
like you feel defeated. It's this overwhelming feeling of defeat and hopelessness, and that you don't have control over your own self, and you don't understand it. You don't
Listen, you have control. You just don't want to take control. You don't want to take control. Because if you took control, and if you really got a grip on this thing, Shantal, if you really got a grip with it, that means your whole life would have to change. You would have to change the content on your channel. You would have to change the name of your channel. I mean, like your whole life is food. So if we took food out of the equation, what would be left? What would you replace it with? Food is literally your identity. There used to be a Shantal Marie. There's no more Shantal Marie. You created the character Foodie Beauty, the persona Foodie Beauty, and you want to live in that character 24/7. You don't like Shantal Marie. You replaced her with Foodie. Although Foodie is not a nice person, a lot of people don't like her. You seem to think that Foodie Beauty has more than Shantal, so let's just ignore Shantal and all of her problems and all of her issues and then just stay in character all the time. Even professional actors, once they're done playing a part, they get off stage. They take off the stage makeup. They put on their street clothes and they go take a walk. They are who they are away from the camera. That is how they keep their sanity with their job. They play a certain role for a certain amount of time, but then after that role is completed, when the cameras are turned off, they are themselves again. But you don't have that line. You live in character all the time. You put all of your self-worth in a character, but not in the person. Do you understand me? You have no sense of self. You have no sense of identity, to the point where you're always trying to look for a man with an identity, and you can borrow elements of their identity to have something for yourself. Whatever they like, you like. Whatever they hate, you hate. You become like a mini me of that person as much as you can to be accepted by them and possibly loved by them. But here's the big joke. Here's the punchline to that joke. The men that you do so much for, they don't love you. They will never love you. They haven't loved you from the jump. You're just a pay pig, a cash cow. And I know that's rude, but it's the truth. You know it's the truth. They're not hanging out with you for free. You got to pay for their company. That's how bad you are. You're so incorrigible that people will not hang out with you for free. You have to pay them by the hour. Salah's been around you for 2 years. If he liked you so much, why do you have to keep paying him? You love Natter. Well, if Natter liked you so much, why do you got to pay him too? Everybody you owe or insist on you paying them to do something with you. You don't have friends, you have hired help. That speaks a lot about the kind of person you are.
understand it. And it's a totally different dark feeling. It's a dark place. And it's not my mukbangs at all. My mukbangs are planned. They are mostly calculated, mostly.
And boring. And Shantal, by the way, a little criticism, constructive criticism. I think it's ridiculous that you keep doing mukbangs to the same meals we've seen like 3 or 4 times. How many times have you eaten from KFC? How many times have you done mukbangs with McDonald's? and Burger King and Jollibee. You keep eating from the same restaurants, you eat the same meals over and over again. I mean, that's boring. You're not showing any new, interesting food. It's always the same meals. For someone who's a foodie, you are not exploring food. You're falling back on old favorites that will fill you up.
Sometimes no, but you know, trying to do better with that. They have a purpose and they're not the same at all. Um, if I overly restrict myself, it's a disaster, you know,
Why?
for binge eating. Um, my life needs to be more structured and everything that like that. Yes, I know that. You know, but um, I have a million problems, but binge eating in a mukbang is not one of them. And for it to be called a binge is very misleading to people.
No, it's not, because it's the truth.
And it's wrong. It's false information. It's complete bullshit.
No, you getting on YouTube and calling what you do is a non-binge is bullshit. You getting on YouTube and doing that fetish food shit on YouTube when it should be put on Patreon or someplace else is bullshit. That's not what YouTube is for. That is fetish content that belongs on OnlyFans or Patreon or something else, put behind a paywall. You advertise it separately, and the people that specifically want to see that can go see that. Just charge them a membership. Don't put it on YouTube where you're putting the videos out there and you're not even age restricting them. Beast. You're lazy. You don't want to advertise what you do. So you keep everything on YouTube where there's the least amount of competition. And you even created a niche within a niche. Because there's a regular feeder content. And then you, as a supposed Muslim woman, gluttony is frowned upon. It is haram. And there might be people out there who might be interested in a supposed Muslim woman doing a gluttonous haram act. It's something different. And maybe that's why you decided to put on the abaya and the hijab in the first place, trying to make more money with the feeder stuff.
And you know, my KFC mukbang was massive. Wow. I don't know if it's a camera angle or what, but I don't know if people don't watch my mukbangs till the end either because I didn't finish the food. I had one of the wraps.
You know, just because you don't finish it on camera, we know you're going to finish it off camera. Shantal, how stupid do you think we are? We know you. Food does not go to waste in your house. We know that you are well aware of YouTube watching you, that you might be getting reported. So you're only going to eat so much on camera in front of the camera. As soon as the camera is turned off, you're going to wolf all that down and more. You have another meal underneath the table. We know the routine, dear. We know you. We've watched you go to work on food. Why play word games here?
I had a few bites of the second one, and I didn't even finish the cheese fries.
Yes, you did. She loves fries. She finished those fries. Chantal's not going to get fast food and let it go to waste. I promise you.
So, I really don't know where that was massive. I mean, comment below if you can.
Oh, look at her trying to fish for engagement saying that. Oh, comment below if you think it wasn't massive. You're fishing for engagement, you pathetic, desperate creature. Look at you trying to fish for engagement. Oh, isn't she adorable?
Eat a whole wrap and half of cheese fries. I really, really just think it's just complete BS and stupid and misinformation, and it's false, and it's a desperate attempt at content, and it's really just.
You know what, Chantal? You have, considering the fact that you've got your problem with food and you're literally selling pieces of your health for $30 on Cameo. You've got your health. You put it on a shelf, little pieces at a time. Hey, anybody who wants a piece of whatever good health I might have left, I'm offering pieces of it for $30. Just reach out to me on Cameo and get your piece today before it's all gone. Yeah. You're selling your own health, and there's not much left. Putting your health at a bargain basement price of $30. And let's do some quick math here, y'all. So let's just say somebody pays for a Cameo for $30. After Cameo takes their cut, that leaves her with $21. Then you got to figure in the cost of the food. So take that amount out of the cost of the food, out of the Cameo amount. There's not much left. So what's the point of doing the freaking Cameos?
These these people are just like dingleberries, and they just don't fall off.
Shantal, we know who the biggest piece of crap is, and I'm looking at her right now.
Your content is crap.
And unfortunately, you're like the big piece of crap in the toilet that you go to flush it, and it just won't go down. You just won't go down.
It's desperate. And I have every right to do mukbangs and eat just like everyone else.
But you don't eat like everyone else. What you're doing is binging. Shut up. You're not eating like everybody else. I don't eat the portion of 4 to 6 people. I could never. I can't. That would make me sick. That is not like everybody else. It's not. You're doing the whataboutisms again. Oh, I can eat like everybody else. I got a right to eat like everybody else. But you're not everybody else, and you're not eating like everybody else. You're making yourself sick and try to normalize it, and it's not normal. What you're doing is not normal, and it ain't right.
Even if I have diabetes, even if I have a binge eating disorder.
You don't. You're a food addict.
Because none of you are doctors, and none of you are are experts on an eating disorder. And
neither are you. How about that? You're not a doctor. You're not an expert in BED. Yet you're over there trying to treat yourself and diagnose yourself. And this is what's wrong with me. And I know everything. That's why I don't know therapy. I don't need therapy. I don't need to go to counseling. Like, how's that working out for you? How you doing? Are you successful with your self-diagnoses, with your self-treatment? I mean, I'm looking at you. I don't see you getting better. So I guess you don't have all the knowledge you need to make yourself well.
I'm sure if you were, you wouldn't be in Gore World.
Are you really going to try to criticize Girl World when once upon a time you called yourself the queen of Girl World? Didn't you once say that? First you said you're the queen of Girl World. Then you said I'm not a part of it. Shantal, be grateful for Girl World. That there are people that are still interested in you. You're a boring bitch anymore. You really are. When you do lives, if you took the conversation and you took away the audio, you'd swear that it was somebody talking to just one person on the phone. Not somebody talking with a whole bunch of people in the room and having the kind of conversation where everybody can join in and everybody's going to stay intrigued and interested. Be grateful that there are reactors still talking about you and still working their magic to make you interesting, because doggone it, you're not doing us any favors. You're as boring can be.
Probably have a life and an education. But so yeah, this is why I decided to keep my personal life offline, because
But you're not. How are you keeping your personal life offline if you're talking about what's wrong with you right now? Talking about your BED, does that not pertain to your personal life? Isn't that something kind of personal? Yeah. Is she monetizing it though? Yeah, she's trying to.
No, despite the mukbangs, my blood sugars are still the same. They're
whatever. Your blood sugars are way up there.
more than cut in half than what they were.
Thanks to the medication. Without the medication, your ass would be in the hospital with a diabetic coma. Miss 22, 24 blood sugar. It's ridiculous. You know, what's amazing is there is a YouTuber. His name is James Brightman. Wonderful guy. I've done some reacts to his videos. I love his videos. And he went on panel with Life and Vibe, and he said that, you know, he's working on his health, and he's off 3 medications now because of his hard work. So while you're over there stacking up the medications, James is taking care of his health, and he's getting off the medications while you're over there trying to find more medications to take so you can continue binging.
They've gone from 24 mmol down to 11, and that's on the higher side. Sometimes they're 8, sometimes they're 9, sometimes they're 10, but not usually higher than 11. And which is a big improvement, and I still have time to get it down even more. You don't see the little efforts I do throughout the day and stuff like that. So you don't know.
You know what, though? I mean, you showed off your grocery haul earlier. Now we know you have bags and bags of chips in the house. You've got all those junk foods and cheese. I know what's going to happen, Shantal. One who's been there, you're still there. You cannot lie to somebody who's been there, okay? One addict cannot lie to another addict. You can't lie to one of your own. You were so happy with that grocery haul because all of your favorite trigger foods were represented. I know exactly what's going to happen. You're surrounded by all those trigger foods. You're going to have a little bit of everything. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying, mama. Then now you got all those delicious foods in the house, all those trigger foods. You're going to want a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it's going to go on all day. It's going to go on all day. It's like a little kid at the amusement park. You want to go on the roller coaster and then the Ferris wheel, and you want to do this. You know, you're jumping from one thing to the next thing, gobbling it all down. Like Pac-Man with the power pellets. Just because it's there. Fresh food in the house, let's go for it. On your mark, get set, go. That's basically the feeling. You're at the starting line and they blow the whistle and off you go. Yeah, I know what's going to happen.
No, but because you don't know, you know. Anyway, that's what I wanted to basically rant about, is just all of the misinformation.
And that's why she's got the title Schooling Haters ASMR. She wants to rant, and she doesn't want YouTube to give her a proper spanking and send her to her room without her takeout. Let's call this ASMR. Let's call this a role play video so that YouTube will just think it's satire and I won't get in trouble. Yeah, like she's going around the block in order to get mad and get away with it. I see you, girl. I see you.
Nobody makes an educated video whatsoever on actual accurate information. So I'm telling you from, you know, having this my whole life, what a binge is for me. And honestly, no strangers on the internet have the right to tell me what a binge is. None. When it comes to my eating.
You know, Shantal, at this point in time, it doesn't matter if it's a binge. It doesn't matter if it's overeating. The fact remains you're eating way too much, way too often. You're gaining weight rapidly. You know, like I kind of did the math. If you're eating like on the low side, 5,000, maybe 6,000 calories a day, because at your current height and weight, for you to maintain 500 pounds, you have to eat between 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day to maintain that weight. If you eat over that amount, you start to gain weight. It takes 3,500 calories to make 1 pound of fat. So if you're eating 6,000 calories a day, you're gaining between 1 to 2 pounds a day every day. Times 30 days, that's 30 to 60 pounds a month. So if you're gaining 30 pounds a month times 3 months or so, that's 100 pounds gained in 3 months. Around about that. You're putting on weight every single flipping day. Every day, mama. Every day. That's alarming. That's scary. So overeating or binging, the result is still the same. You're still eating way too much. You're eating unhealthy food. It's your organs are already struggling. Your breathing is already struggling. Your blood sugars are out of control. You're on the max amount of medications you can be on, the max milligrams. I mean, you're basically you're wanting to continue to binge to satisfy the feeders. You pushed your body as far as it could possibly go. It can't do any more than what it's already doing. It's a miracle that you haven't had a full-blown heart attack yet, because you have not made things easy on it. But if something medical happens to you, your rate of survival is very slim. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't. But with your lack of health, with your organs being the way that they are, there's not much hope for you. So your life or your death is literally in your hands. What you want to do.
Disorder. That's exactly the bottom line. And it's just BS. So anyway, the worst thing is a lot of people criticizing what I eat. If they had the gall and the nerve to show themselves and their life, they eat the same thing. I mean, you're going to tell me you never eat.
What? First of all, I'm showing myself. It's a little dark in here, but you can still see me, Shantal. I've shown myself on camera. The sun is going down right now. But no, we don't eat the same thing. Hell no. If I ate just one meal of what you eat in a day, I'd be sick all day. I would feel bloated and sick and be like, oh my God, oh, I feel awful. I wouldn't know what to do. And yet you eat like this 4 times a day. So don't do the whataboutisms again. You're doing that crap again. Quit it.
Eat a dish of fries with one wrap. That's massive. Okay. I know people don't agree with my eating style, but I'm not ever going to be one to, and I've decided this after trying these diets, after just failing after fad diet after fad diet. I'm not ever going to completely cut carbs. I'm not ever going to fully completely cut junk food and go vegetarian, keto, carnivore. I'm not going to do it. So I don't know how many mukbang videos or how many things you're going to see me eat that you have to keep bitching about. But
you know what, though? If you don't like what we have to say, stop coming into our backyards. Stop going on to other people's community posts, their live chats, making yourself known under your socks. Stay off Twitter. By the way, bitch, I saw that you went after Scorpio Angel for her community post. That was rude and unnecessary. Rude. Just keep your nose out of other people's business. If you don't like the reactors, if you don't like what we have to say, then don't listen. Just stay in your own backyard, okay? It's just that simple.
it's beating a dead horse at this point. I mean, I don't know. I guess it sells, but I was just coming here to tell you that you're not right about my videos. They're not a binge. And
well, you know what they're not? They're not ASMR either. How about that? Miss, I want to be an ASMR person and attach myself to the ASMR community because I think there's money there, that there's an audience there. You see how big the ASMR community is, and you want to attach yourself like a leech to that community and try to bleed some audience members off of that and bring them to your channel. What you do is not ASMR. It's not. It's not mukbang. It's not ASMR. It's just straight gluttonous, gross feeder content.
a lot of them are not massive. A lot of the time I don't even finish my food. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, you know. But there are mukbangers who eat
They're doing the whataboutisms. Don't compare yourself to those people. They don't have an issue with food and you do, and that's the difference.
way more.
They're not obsessed with food and you are.
People bigger, people my size, people thinner. And you don't know. Maybe those people who are thin have binge eating disorder, but they don't gain weight for whatever reason. Maybe.
You know what? Like, she keeps bringing that up. Oh, they're so thin. I'm sensing a bit of insecurity and jealousy. I'm just going to freaking say it. You know, Shantal is awful being as she is right now. But can you imagine if Shantal was of a smaller size? How she would behave, how she would talk? She would be 1,000 times worse. If we think she's bad now at a bigger size, can you imagine this narcissistic, egotistical, insecure egomaniac if she were smaller? Oh my God. She'd be awful, awful. And she would be one of those people that if she were of a smaller size, even her being at a bigger size right now and having that being a bigger person experience, she would be that person. I guarantee you, I promise you that if she dropped a bunch of weight and she became much, much smaller, that if she ever got on an airplane at a smaller size and somebody her size wanted to sit next to her, she would raise holy hell. She would not stand for it. She would not. She would be a nightmare. She'd be throwing in people's faces. Look at me, I'm so small. You know, being of a bigger size and then getting smaller, it wouldn't be like I have this perspective that now that I'm smaller, I'm going to be a kind person to people of all sizes. No, her being small would go straight to her head.
They purge, maybe they just work out a lot. That's a form of restricting, is excessive exercise, but you don't know. So why speak about something serious like that you don't know about? People who are thin and have binge eating disorder would not be criticized that way. You know, it's very unhealthy for them too. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy thing to have that disorder, big or small. So anyway, I don't care. Think what you want, but the misinformation is just.
Yeah, speaking of misinformation, that's another reason why I think your YouTube channel honestly should be shut down. Because you keep spreading dangerous misinformation and an attitude which might be dangerous to your audience members. You're basically giving the impression to people, if you're a type 2 diabetic and if your blood sugar is out of control, it's in the 400s, as long as you take X amount of medication, you can eat whatever you want. No harm, no foul. That's a dangerous thing to send to your audience, to portray to your audience. It's scary to think that there might be people that might be influenced by that and might try it themselves. Nobody should be watching your content. And you, madam, shouldn't be doing your content. You're doing self-harm content on YouTube and you're doing it in full view of the public. And it's morbid.
Out of this world. So I wanted to come on here and correct that. And
you didn't correct anything. I corrected you.
Just let you know personally what a binge is for me.
For you. Okay, so like what a binge is for you. Like you're basically doing the whataboutisms with your binging. Okay. Your definition, your personal definition, that this is a binge and this is not a binge. It doesn't matter though. If you're overeating or binging, you're still eating too much, too often, which is leading to all these health problems. The result is still the same. You're getting sick, dummy.
In regards to binge eating disorder, and also just call you out, call those of you who are, oh my gosh, that's a massive portion. I could feed my family of 8. Well, then you need to have your family, given to someone else because you're underfeeding them. If your family
No. There's no underfeeding. It's just that, like we don't eat like livestock being fattened up for slaughter.
of 8 can eat one wrap, you have something wrong with you. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, enough with you. You suck. Anyway, that's my reaction to Shantal. And hope you guys enjoyed this react. If you have, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.